When I move, you move, just like that. When I move, you move, just like that. When I move, you move, just like that. That's, wow. I just channeled that song. What is that? Why am I channeling? When I move, you move, just like that. Let me see. When I move, you move. When I move, you move. Ludicrous. Oh, ludicrous. Let's see. 2003 may be significant. Stand up. When I move, you move. Hell yeah. Hey, DJ, bring that back. How you ain't gonna FBITCH? I'm me. I'm the God DAM reason you VIP. CEO, you don't have to see ID. I don't know. When I move, you move, just like that. I'm just getting that. I pulled up with a million trucks, looking, smelling, feeling like a million. Somebody may feel like $1,000,000. Something about Ching and Chong's up in smoke, the club and the full moon. I don't know. These people. There's a lot going on. Go on with your big AS. Somebody may have a big AS. Let me see something. Tell your little friend he can't quit me mean mugging. I'm not a slang person. I don't speak like this. I'm a lit and I don't care what or who thinks. I don't know. I don't know. But I was channeling when I move, you move, just like that. Ludicrous. Could be very significant, and so I don't know why that song just came out, but I hope everybody's enjoying their beautiful day. My name is Jeanette, and I'm a very high vibrational being, and I'm back again. I'm going to continue to read from this book because I find it very interesting, the information that I'm getting out of here. And it's going to be 11:11. It's 11:10 on the clock at this moment. But there's a lot of information in this book. I didn't know that George W. Bush paid $1 million to have somebody assassinated. And I am getting that a lot of divine beings have been targeted, and people have paid big money, the GOV, the governments, the elites, okay? Because we're standing up for our rights, and we are bringing all this information about the elites and about the government and all those who are involved, and bringing the towers to their front yards. Okay? So as I continue, I'm going to continue to read from this book, Bobby Sullivan, Revolutionary Threats. Okay? Amadou Diallo was also killed unjustifiably, okay? He was a law-abiding citizen. Assata Shakur, albeit with a $1 million bounty on her head. Assata Shakur had a $1 million bounty on her head by George W. Bush. Okay? Okay? So I wonder uh, how much money was put on my head, and you didn't get the job done. And you won't get the job done. Assata Shakur, also known as Joan Chitmer, is an American political activist. Thank you. Thank you for the loser. Go get healed. Go get healed. She escaped from prison in 1979 and is currently wanted by the FBI with a $1 million FBI reward for information leading to her capture. But it was a courtesy of George W. Bush, okay? Convicted of murder, which was a lie. Most wanted terrorist, which was a lie. Tupac Shakur's godmother and step-aunt, that was her. Okay? I'm going to continue. Asata and Zayed Shakur. I wonder if they knew for sure this would be the last day that they would spend together. They went for a drive on the New Jersey Turnpike. Shots rang out and got Saeed, much to the policeman's pleasure. Asata was wounded for sure. They beat her behind a prisoner door. But the walls could not hold her. Her friends broke in and she escaped. Sandiata got away. He was always driving with them that day, but they caught him after 3 days. He's been in prison since '73. So who were the real American heroes? In the '70s, it wasn't Nixon or Shapiro. It could have been the revolutionaries working underground to keep the people free. So who were the real American heroes? In the '70s, it wasn't Ribner or Rizzo. Could it have been John's Africa's Revolution, the seed of wisdom? The fight against pollution? There are so many people struggling. There's so many people hustling. There's a new generation coming in and we need the light they're bringing. Ain Ali Amin Turuba Bin Wadat George and Jonathan Jackson. After Al Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Guillermo Brat, and these names they're all Muslim names. Blood Jali and Nunn Washington. People. Revolutionaries in the U.S. have more in common with Rasta than just dreadlocks. They grapple with socio-political undercurrents, varied and even sectarian beliefs and issues surrounding community involvement. Horace Campbell's, whose pivotal work, Rasta and Resistance, is prominent study in Rastafari's relationships with revolution, profoundly points out Rastafari faith, or even early liberation theology, has not escaped the dilemma which each of the great religions, especially Hinduism and Christianity, has set itself. The conflict between faith and work, contemplation and action. He continues, the fact that this very conflict now grips the soul of Rastafari in relations to politics is not a sign of collapse but maturity. So it is that there is differences of opinion among the rosters, whether it is their work to storm the earthly kingdom and take it in order to change it, or to explain it, to inquire more deeply into the Maker and his mysteries, or to engage in both WAR fairs. This chapter is about those who engaged. A bloody decade for revolutionaries in the USA. Although the 1970s America is culturally associated with decadence of disco and the end of idealistic 60s, it was also a time when revolutionary and reactionary forces went underground to forward their struggles outside the government law. It was difficult for the revolutionaries involved in the Black Power of civil rights movement. The new decade began in strikingly significant flashpoints. On August 7, 1970, Black Panther Jonathan Jackson was slain in Marion County Courthouse in Indianapolis during the attempt to free his brother George Jackson behind bars. George Jackson hailed from the Black Guerrilla family and later became the subject of Bob Dylan and Steel Pulse songs. He was also the author of best-selling books Soledad Brother. Both brothers were quite famous for the time. The book was largely a collection of letters between them. In the courthouse that day, Jonathan tried to free George and the other Soledad brothers through the kidnapping of Supreme Court Judge Harold Haley. Angela Davis, okay, well, what was I? Jonathan kidnapping. Okay, Jonathan was killed on sight, but his actions prompted the hunt and capture and capture another outspoken critic of the American judicial system. Angela Davis, a professor at the University of California, San Diego. California is very significant. The firearms Jonathan used in the courthouse were registered under her name. This was a professor. He had been one of her bodyguards. Jonathan's courthouse incident spun out of control as multiple hostages were taken, and there was a shot out between the police and the escaping van. In addition to Jonathan, 3 other people were killed that day. 2 of Jonathan's accomplices and the judge. Several more hostages were wounded by GUNFIRE, perhaps in retaliation for his brother's action. A prison guard shot and killed George Jackson in the back on August 21st, 1971. The prison said George was attempting to escape, but many activists view it as a deliberate assassination. Less than a month later, on September 13, 1971, the single BLOODIEST day in U.S. prison history occurred. after a blockade raid to suppress 1,000 inmates who were revolted and sieged sections of the Attica Correctional Facility. I don't know if you guys remember Attica. It's a lot of mistreated convicts that were held in these prisons. 33 prisoners were massacred and 10 correction officers was massacred, and 10 correction officers and employees were killed. The inmates stood their ground. The inmates stood their grounds against the guards for 5 days, seeking to negotiate to end their inhumane condition, as well as to protest George Jackson's MUR. We are men, we are not beasts, they reported as chanting. Despite racial conflict, Attica prisoners fought across the color line for a common cause. The majority of the inmates were African American, but there was a substantial Puerto Rican population. The 383 correctional officers, however, were all white. As reported, many of the guards were openly racist and apparently called their batons Nigger, sticks. The government feared George Jackson because of his incredible leadership potential and formidable determination. Due to the success of Soledad, Brother, Jackson's voice invigorated many people with a sense of urgency. In the text, after discussing the brutal killing behind prison walls, he proclaims, "Our mortality rate is almost what you expect to find in history of Dachu." I don't know what's Dachu. Let's see. Dachu. What's Dachu? I always got to do research. Dachu. D. Dachu. Dachu is a concentration camp that was established. Wow. That was established by the Nazi government in 1933 and operated until 1944. It was the first concentration camp to be run by the SS and was intended to house Hitler's political opponents, including communists, social democrats, and trade unicists. The camp was located on the grounds of abandoned munitions factories. I had dreams of I had a dream last night. There was caves, there was people that were being hidden. This is so sad. This is so sad. At the age of 18, Jackson had been sentenced 1 year to life for a $70 armed robbery. In prison, he became politicalized and an outspoken critic of the American government. Just like we're speaking against the American government, we're speaking against all the humane actions that you have been taking against humanity, the children that you have killed without the right. You have no right to end people's lives because they're speaking their truth. His activists essentially guaranteed a lifetime sentence. 1966 is very significant. Inside San Quentin prison, Jackson and other prisoners started the aforementioned black gorilla family. Any person who is gang stalking, who is here to try to harm and hurt and bully anybody, I'm calling karmic justice on you. You have no right to come in here and bully anybody. You need to go get healed and stop it. It was an organization set up to defend the rights of black inmates. Danny Haipon, a writer of the Black Agenda, reports George Jackson was a giant that the U.S. state could not contain. So they killed him. It was Jackson who developed a foundational theory of the prison state in relation to design the imperialist system. Jackson said revolutionary movements require three elements: an above-ground organization that carries out political work, the independent media, and an underground organization committed to creating crisis for the establishment. So sad. The injustice that people have taken upon themselves to try to hide the secrets that they have done. Jackson's political positions were shaped by his first-hand experience. He advocated worldwide revolution and was a rebellious with a criminal intent. As Eric Mann argues, George doesn't use fascism as an angry curse at the rulers. George doesn't, he represents it as an analytical model to explain the nature of U.S. society that can help us better understand the nature of our enemy and work out the most effective strategy for resistance. That means that you have to heal yourself in order to defeat your enemy. So that way no harm could come to you. They will try to do everything in their power to get you eliminated out of this lifetime. But it's up to you to heal and look and understand the political agenda that they have hidden on lots of innocent people, women and children, and the youth, and our planet, and our water, and our air. This is very interesting. More than 30 years after have passed since George Jackson's MURDER, but law enforcement officials still operate with animosity towards revolutionaries. A prominent example of this came in 2005 when Tookie Williams' stay of execution was denied. Tookie Williams, it's so much history. Tookie Williams. Tookie Williams was an American gangster who co-founded the led the Crips gangs in Los Angeles. He and Raymond Washington formed an alliance in 1971 to establish the Crips gang. This was Tookie This was William Stanley Tookie Williams III, co-founder of the American Gangster and led the Crips gang. Okay, very significant. A prominent example came in 2005 when Tookie Williams' stay of execution was denied by California Governor. Did you know? Arnold Schwarzenegger, in part because Tookie denied his execution. Um, when Tookie's stay of execution was denied by California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, in part because Tookie cited George Jackson as one of his heroes. He was killed because he cited George Jackson as one of his heroes. He did not look at anything else. Tookie was a prominent Los Angeles gang member who evolved into a positive role model for young inmates in prison. He told others to serve their sentence without citing or encouraging violent incidents. Despite Tookie's exemplary conduct in prison for more than a decade, the state still executed him. He was even nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize after he worked on a peace accord between rival LA gangs and publicly lamented his role in forming the Crips. Despite such deeds, Schwarzenegger denied Williams clemency. In his statement, the governor said, "The dedication of Williams' book Life in Prison casts significant doubt on his personal redemption. The mix of individuals on the dedication list is curious, but the inclusion of George Jackson was on the list defies reasons and a significant indicator that William is not reformed." In 1970, activist H. Rap Brown was charged in inciting the riot of Cambridge, Maryland, and was placed on the FBI's most wanted list. At only 23 years of age, he was the chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and was a strong member of the civil rights movement. Brown worked tirelessly, registering black voters in the South, and later became Minister of Justice for the Black Panther Party. In the 1971, the FBI captured Brown in New York City and sent him to Attica prison on a robbery conviction. After 5 years of incarceration, he emerged from prison as Jamal Amin, a devout Muslim. He made a pilgrimage to Mecca and then settled in the neighborhood of Atlanta's West End, where he became active in the Muslim community. In 2002, journalist Mara Shalhoub wrote, "Today, West End Park is lined by manicured yards, white trim bungalows, painted lemon, yellow, teal, and taupe. Boys shoot hoops on a covered basketball court, and women in bright headscarves gather on the lawn across the street. All signs point towards prosperity." It was different. It was a different scene in the 1970s. and early 80s. Those gathered in the park were not there for play, but all to sell services and wares. SEX and later crack rock. Within a decade, the drugs and the peas began to disappear. Al Amin followers like to credit him with the street sweeping, but no one can say for sure that he was creating the resurgence of West End. He did join the local mosque and becomes its player leader. Muslim families of Boston, Philadelphia, and New York located to West End to be closer to the mosque and its charismatic leader. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. We developed West End at the height of crack epidemic and forced the park curfew to keep out the bad elements, said Ali. Now heading the West End Mosque is Al Amin's absence. We cleaned it up by having visible presence of Muslim men in this neighborhood. This is where it gets deep. This is where they talk about, I don't know if you remember Diallo. He was shot 40 times, right, by police officers, thinking that he had a gun, but he didn't have a gun. After Jamal Ali Amin was released from prison, the police tracked him incessantly. In 1993, he was interrogated as a suspect in the World Trade Center bombing. A year later, he was charged with shooting a man in the leg outside the store he owned. Later, the victim accused the police of provoking Al Amin into shooting him. The charges were dropped and the victim joins Al Amin's Mosque in the West End. But immediately after they arrested Al Amin for the bogus shooting, FBI agents invaded his store. This incident occurred only 1 month after NYPD officers were acquitted for the brutal slaying of Amadou Diallo, an unarmed 23-year-old immigrant from Guinea. Diallo was a devout Muslim. These people of 411 are just insane. Insane. These elites pay the government for killing humanity, killing people of color, and your days is numbered. Your days are numbered. I told you, this world is full of, there's a lot of hatred in this world, and it doesn't need to be that way because we all come from one God, and people needs to have their hearts softened. Because what you do to one, you do to yourself. Devote. Just want to see what's this. Devout. DEVOUT. Or having or showing deep religious feelings or commitment. When you have deep feelings of commitment to the Most High God, people are targeted. And God is going to make sure the wrath of his people is going to be justified. You have no right to take people out because of their their religious beliefs. You have no right. Diallo was a devout Muslim and a law-abiding citizen. Police fired over 40 shots into him as he stood in the foyer of his apartment building. Deputies Alderon English and Ricky Kenshin, who ironically also served the warrant to Amin, had both been on the force for less than a year. Heavily armed and inexperienced, their first approach to his store was fruitless. The second time, it was lethal. Al-Amin was thought to have killed Kinchin and wounded English. When he was finally apprehended, though, the case against him was very thin. Nonetheless, at the time of this writing, Al-Amin remains in prison, enduring inhumane conditions, including solitary confinement and against restricted access to his Quran. I am so done with these. I'm so done. So lot. People are so insecure. They're so insecure. They don't know how to love. All they know is about money, 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 money. This is interesting. Cuba. Assata Shakur and the Black Liberation Army. At the end of the 1960s, the Black Panther Party began to split. After merciless persecutions, different perspectives clashed. Some members wanted guerrilla warfare, others wanted a nonviolent political movement. Guillermo Brett had gone underground to work on an independent new African southern state. Apparently, this caused his removal from the Black Panther Party. After the 21 made a statement supporting the Weather Underground, they too were removed. The FBI ruthless persecution of the Black Panther Party forced many members into hiding. This gave rise to the Black Liberation Army and self-proclaimed New African Guerrilla Organization. The song lyrics that preference this chapter refers to a 1973 incident involving BLA members of Sundiata Akali, Assata Shakur, and Malik Shakur. State troopers ambushed them while they were driving on the New Jersey Turnpike. Ultimately, Zaid was K and Assata was hit twice. Assata later stated, I was kept on the floor, kicked, pulled, dragged along by my hair. Finally, I was put into an ambulance, but the police would not let the ambulance leave. They kept asking the ambulance attendant, is she dead yet? Is she D yet? Finally, when it was clear I wasn't going to DIE, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, they took me to the hospital. The police were jumping on me, beating me, choking me, doing everything they could possibly do, doing everything they could possibly do as soon as the doctors or the nurses would go outside. Brutal. Brutal. On November 2nd, 1979, the Revolutionary Armed Task Force liberated Assata Shakur from prison and whisked her away to safety in Cuba. Assata apparently still resides there today, safe and sound, albeit with $1 million bounty on her head. What's that word? Albeit. Albeit is a conjunction meaning even though, although, okay. So although with $1 million bounty on her head, courtesy of the George W. Bush administration. That's why you keep coming out in my readings, George W. Bush. I know your father is gone and he had a lot to do with this. But the son is also responsible. And whatever you guys have done, God is going to make sure, George W. Bush, this doesn't go unjustified. This is George W. Bush. And his son, George W. Bush, he has 6 children. The MOVE organization emerged in Philadelphia in the 70s, like the movement of Rastafari. Their focus on stopping pollution and the animal cruelty was dramatically ahead of its time. In their self-published booklet, 20 Years on the Move, they defiantly stated in capital letters, MOVE's work is to stop the industry from poisoning the air, the water, the soil, and put an end to enslavement of life, people, animals, any form of life. MOVE had a very initiative approach to resisting criminal justice system. When members started getting locked up on a regular basis, they used strategic profanity, as they called it. Their logic was that the words were not profane, only the system that oppressed others was profane. They also strategically decided who would get arrested at each protest. Then at the hearings, they will have 10 or so members disrupt the trial. This meant that the case would get suspended and 10 more people would get charged with contempt. MOVE members did this over and over until the city officials were forced to stop the cases against them. The system could not manage the workload. MOVE members ate plant-based diets and embraced hard work. Living as a family, they adopted homeschooling as their primary means for educating their youth. They helped homeless people find shelter and assisted the elderly in home repairs. Well-known political prisoners, Mumia Abu Jamal was a local journalist at the time of MOVE emergence, and he describes this relationship with them in this way. I met MOVE while covering them in Philadelphia. No one was in Philadelphia from the 70s to the mid-80s can claim not to know about MOVE. MOVE members have been active and above ground in Philadelphia since 1973. People were very political in movement, in addressing issues. It's so sad. Our religion, life. John Africa taught us that life is the priority. Nothing is more important or as important as life, the force that keeps us alive. All life comes from one source, from God. Mom, nature, mama. Each individual life is dependent on every other life, and all life has a purpose. So all living beings, things that move, are equally important, whether they are human beings, dogs, birds, fish, trees, ants, weeds, rivers, wind, or rain. To stay healthy and strong, life must have clear air, clear water, and pure food. It deprives of these things. If deprived of these things, life will cycle to the next level, or the system says DIE. Nature law. We believe that nature law, the government of self. Many man-made laws are not really laws because they don't apply equally to everyone, and they contain exceptions and loopholes. Man-made laws are constantly being amended or repealed. Natural law stays the same and always has. Man's law requires police, sheriffs, armies, and courts to enforce them, and lawyers to explain to them. True law is self-explanatory and self-enforcing. In the undisturbed jungles, oceans, deserts of the world, there are no courtrooms or jails. The animals and the plants don't need them. No living being has to consult a law book to be able to know if they have to cough, sneeze, or urinate. Natural law says that when you see something getting too close to your eyes, you will blink. Whether you are a German Shepherd or a Supreme Court Justice. Self-defense. All living things instinctively defend themselves. This is a God-given right of all life. If a man goes into a bear's cave, he violates and threatens the bear's place of security. The bear will defend his home by instinctively fighting off the man and eliminating him. The bear is not wrong because self-defense is right. Being revolutionary. Revolution starts with the individual. It starts with a person making a personal commitment to do what is right. You can't turn someone into a revolutionary by making them chant slogans or wave guns. To understand revolution, you must be sound-minded in your power. Now work from ego. That's what I get. Revolution is not imposed upon another. It is kindled within. It comes within your heart. A person can talk about revolution, but if they are still worshiping money and putting drugs into their body and beating their mate, they obviously haven't committed themselves to doing what's right. Revolutionary is not a philosophy. It is an activity. It's very disturbing how people, governments, elites have taken upon themselves to kill and try to cover this up. Page 162, FBI, did I do that? Anyway, is it a crime? I channeled that song, Sade. Is it a crime that I still love you? I used to love this song. This may come as a surprise. Somebody misses somebody. I could see through all your lies. Somebody sees right through their lies. But somebody misses somebody. He takes her love, but it doesn't feel like mine. He tastes her kiss. Her kiss is not like wine. They're not mine. He takes her, but surely she can't give what I'm feeling now. She takes, but surely she doesn't know how. Is it a crime? Is it a crime that I still want you? And I want you to want. Oh God, this is, I don't know. It dives, it jumps, and it ripples like the deepest ocean. I can't give you more than that. Surely you want it back. I don't know. Something about, is it a crime? I am going to, it's 11, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to end this. I was going to do a reading. Let me just see. What's my... I'm going to pull out some cards very quickly. Let's see what's hidden. There's something that's unexpected coming. You have to be patient. Is it a crime? Somebody uses their power, not for the gut. You need to nourish yourself. Number 9. Number 9 is significant. Somebody, you have begun your journey, and now is the time to access where you are and what to do next. You have to make a decision. You have worked and walked the path for some time. You need to nourish yourself. Somebody doesn't want to change. Somebody doesn't have no wisdom. I'm going to end it. Somebody needs to release something that no longer serves them. Know that you are a sovereign being. You are a sovereign being. 41 is significant. Somebody could be 41 years old. Oh, I did a reading for those who are interested. I did a reading earlier, so if you want to look at that reading, it's in my my videos. I love you guys. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to my channel. And Monday is a new day. I'll be finished with this book. I'm very thankful for the history. And I hope you appreciate it too. And know that this has been going on for such a long time, but everybody's secret is going to be revealed. And that's the truth. Namaste. Have a good day. Bye.